still sour about that main event, probably just like you're still sour about the outcome of Alex the Great versus Max Holloway, which we'll touch on in a minute.
No, I'm more soured about this whole COVID-19 thing. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I mean, I'm more sour about that. This combat sports world, anybody that's been in it, bro, knows by now that something's going to get twisted, right?
Right.
You want to talk about something getting twisted? There was two things that were so freaking bad on UFC 251 that even you sit next to me during the night, he's like, you looked at me, you're like, it's not going to go to Max. It's not going to go to Max Holloway. And I was like, why? The whole entire fight's been Max. What are you talking about?
I like how I like how you jump right into that conversation after you mentioned about Jorge Masvidal.
Well, just because it was just like a little segue, a little off ramp.
So then we'll come
little
back,
off ramp exit.
We'll come back to the overall picture.
Yes.
Of UFC 251 because we'll get into that in a minute because you want to touch about Alex the Great. Yes, I looked at you and laughed and put my hand. I love telling the story. Because it was one of those things in those moments that I put my hand on your shoulder and I said, oh my God, I'm going to laugh so much that if Alexander the Great...
exactly that.
If Alexander the Great wins this fight, you looked at me and said, you've got to be effing kidding me right now.
Because that was just dumb.
There is no way he wins this bout. And I was like, no, he won this fight. He's like, well, how did he win this fight? And I was like, because he took round 4. He took round 5. The only iffy one was round 3.
Yes.
And everybody's like, oh, no. Max Holloway took 1, 2, and 3. Okay? He took 1. He took 2 cleanly, decisively. But let's go back to the 3rd round. The beginning of the 3rd round was all Max. Towards the end of the 3rd round, it had become Alex Volkanovski. The tide all sudden switched. Somehow, the gears of Max Holloway started to shut down. Max Holloway went from going like what we were saying was that, okay, if Max Holloway wants to win this fight, adjustments needed to be made in this fight. He made the adjustments accordingly. He slowed his pace down. He utilized the distance. Even though he didn't have the reach, he utilized the distance and controlled the outcome and was crisp and clean in his striking. But then what happened? His cardio fell, while Alexander the Great got stronger as the fight went on. It was as if the punches stopped hurting. It was as if the kicks stopped hurting the leg. Everything started to slow down, and Alex Volkanovski started to see his shot, and he started to take it. What do they say in boxing? Is when you've got the last 10 seconds in a round,
you try to steal the round.
Don't play it safe because you can steal a round. Same thing applied
Leave that
here.
lasting memory inside the judge's eyes.
Same thing applied here. The last minute of that round was 100% all Volkanovski. The pushing the pace, the straight forward, the cleaner strikes, the strikes that were landing. You started to see it shift. Once you started to see that shift, you're like, uh-oh, I could see this going to Alex Volkanovski.
Because you saw the exact same
then the 4th round
fight last time, and the shift changed.
But the only thing different about this one, and it's eerie identical, Tristan, in the first bout, Volkanovski, the first 3 rounds. Max Holloway, the last 2. And it was similar. Everybody's like, oh, Max Holloway won. He took round 3, 4, and 5. Same thing happened here. Volkanovski was getting beat bad. The last couple rounds, they went to Alex Volkanovski. But the difference between the first and the second was it was clear, decisive, cut right down the middle because of the fact that you saw the gas tank started to empty in Max Holloway. You started to see his demeanor just shift and drop, and you're like, ooh, no, Max. You do not want to see, if you're a judge and you see somebody's demeanor just go, huh. And then all of a sudden the other guy starts coming and he's fresh as a hot dog. What do you think is going to happen? That's what happened in this fight, Tristan. And it's like, And the thing Dana White said in his post fight, and I marked it down here. I thought it was hilarious. Dana White said to the media, "Did anyone in here score for Volkanovski? Did anyone have it for Volkanovski?" Nobody in the media? Nobody?
You would have literally been the only one, and my reaction would have been this.
I'm going to have to put on my fucking double-seeing glasses because I can't even begin to see the amount of bullshit coming from you.
Facts. I had to. Because even though nobody had this, nobody. See, I got you, Rudy. Got you. Even though you had it, you were the one in a million people that everybody on social media was going ham on social media about Max Holloway getting robbed. And yet I still laugh because I don't get it. But this is why we are who we are, because we've even done this live covering events, and we'll be the only ones at the table where we would be with other media people, and we would come up with a different outcome, and sure enough, lo and behold, right in front of us, it happens. And Shaun did it again the other night where he was like, Volkanovski won. And if you talk to Volkanovski 100% said he won that fight.
Because he did 100% win that fight.
But what happens now with Max? What happens now with Max?
You got to run it back. You got to run it back for a third.
For a third time?
Yeah, because of the fact that there's so many issues with the first and then this one. Even though Volkanovski won the last two so cleanly,
right?
You have to run it back for the fans' sake because of the fact that they were so up in arms about, oh my God, how does this happen? And giving death threats and all that stuff like that. Like, bro, dude, like, no, seriously.
I said Max had to make an adjustment, right? I said Max had to look deep and dig deep inside of himself to make an adjustment. At first, he did.
If you don't want to see a third, then you have to admit to yourself then that Alex Volkanovski won.
Yes.
Won both fights.
Admit it.
Distinctly. Wow, I butchered that one.
Yes.
But you have to admit that he won both fights decisively.
See, that's how I felt about the what is it? The Fury fight. Is that you have to 100% definitively just run roughshod beyond what believable doubt and make sure that this fight is 100% on you. If you're looking at Volkanovski and you're looking at Max Holloway and you cannot honestly say that I want a third fight because he won both fights 100%, I'm over it.
You know what's funny is that it's like Holloway, he's in the chat room, is like, hey, so Holloway wasn't tripping. When has Holloway ever tripped?
He's a Samoan.
Holloway is the most humble guy.
Chillest dudes.
Right? He's the most calmest guy I think I've ever seen. And everything just like is so nonchalant to him. It's like it doesn't really matter. And that's the vibe I got from him towards the third round was, I'm here. We're doing this. I didn't really have any camp.
He trained using Zoom.
Who's not using Zoom? Zoom's used for everything.
Everything. It's Zoom, folks. Zoom.
We had that discussion in the last.
Yes, we did.
Like 2 months ago about everybody using Zoom.
We were brought into a conference call using Zoom. I was like, you too? Like, seriously, I'm over it. You really do. I remember when Roberto Villa posted, because I was like, what the heck is Zoom? I have no idea why everybody's using Zoom. And then he posted the video. I was like, oh.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. I get it. But that's how he trained. But I really think that now Max Holloway needs to seriously think about going up in weight.
Right.
Has to do 155. He has to. 155 for Max Holloway, I think, is prime for him. His weight cuts have been so iffy in his career. I just think 155 is perfect for Max Holloway. And losing to Volkanovski now twice, I think that's a good idea that he should go. I just think that's the best end game for him. Now,